Hello again, friends from around the globe and among the stars. Welcome to another episode of The Adventures of Abernathy Franklin. Last go-round with the Abbeys, we met G. Sam and her precious Pomeranian. After which, G. Sam and Nikki set out to meet up with Franny Lynn. Let's see where they find our favorite consciousness-expanding version of Abernathy, and what she might be getting up to now. Hey friends, Frankie here. Surprise! It's once again my turn to tell some Abernathy adventure tales. I know, you're delighted. As well you should be. Fair warning to you, the scene I'm fixing to set up for you may be a bit difficult for some to swallow. So strap in tight and find that oh shit handle to grab, in case you feel you need to hang on to something solid. It may test the bounds of your human mind to see where G, Sam, and Nikki find Franny Babe and I hanging out. After our night of enjoying some improv, and a few of Franny Lynn's consciousness-expanding substances, we did in fact take an accidental detour into another Abernathy Franklin's family reunion. Improv is hungry work, evidently, and John and Gilda said they were up for barbecue. Franny and self being mildly intoxicated, we may have missed the mark a bit when attempting to find a spot where we could all grab some saucy grub. True, we did find highly delectable ribs and a mean potato salad. Our 12-foot-tall, fourth-dimensional friends just also happened to freak out most of the human normals in attendance. No matter, though. We called up G. Sam for some assistance, and she got some of her best connections on the case. Or, at least we assumed that her people would be on it. We didn't exactly stick around at the reunion to find out. See, Franny Lynn had a previous engagement that she didn't want to miss, and, well, hearing where it was, I wasn't about to miss it either. This is a family reunion? Is this other Abernathy Franklin's entire family committed to a psych ward? Nikki was already pointing out the obvious with her questions. I have to say, I do so love to see the new kid Abbeys react to the high strangeness of the cosmos. Yep, I said, having some fun. And she's second cousin to Hitler over there. G. Sam and Nikki had portaled in directly in front of me, just as I was about to make my rounds and introduce myself to some of Earth history's most notorious bad guys. If I remember correctly, this particular facility is at a fifth-dimensional outpost somewhere in the vicinity of what we know in our dimension to be Betelgeuse. But, like I've said before, I don't bother myself much with exact locations. Frankie! Nikki exclaimed, spinning around to greet me. I was hoping to find you again. Is that really Hitler? We can't be related to him, can we? She seemed troubled by the idea, so I figured I'd ease her mind. Nah, just teasing. Although, we are all made from the same source energy stuff and nonsense in this wide universe, so technically, we're all related. Try not to think about it too much, though. Otherwise, it makes dating super weird. I couldn't help but laugh at the look on Nikki's face. Is that Jeffrey Dahmer over there? G. Sam pointed to a table of gentlemen who were toiling away with colorful fuzzy yarn and crochet hooks. And is he sitting next to Richard Ramirez? Where are we? Malachai's Villain Soul Rehab Center, I announced. And I think that's Richard Chase, actually. G. Sam nodded and gazed about, fascinated. Nikki, on the other hand, continued to give me a dazed sort of look, so I explained. Someone has to play the role of evildoer in our Earth theater drama. This is where they come to convalesce after they've completed their anti-hero incarnation on Earth. Being the focal point of heavy amounts of human hate can be traumatic for souls who agree to be the big bads. They come here to heal before having another go at physical incarnation. Nikki looked utterly perplexed, and was certainly speechless after receiving this information. I imagine some of my audience has the same feeling. Like it or not, this human existence is a game we've all agreed to play, and that includes the ones we often think are irredeemable. My good friend Death would readily tell you, the universe still unconditionally loves them all, just as much as the rest of us. Where's Franny Lynn, then? G-Sam broke the momentary silence. I meant to find her and fix up her family reunion situation. I do have good people on it already, though. I suppose she'll be fine without me. But strange I'd find you instead of her. Ha! Don't go second-guessing your portaling skills, friend, I said to G-Sam and slapped her on the back. Nah, Franny's somewhere, with Malachai, exchanging substances. Franny has a hookup for a cannabis-like medicinal plant from the 6th dimension. Evidently it has a potent self-love type of high that helps patients here forgive themselves, and forgive all the regular folks who hated them. It's a good step in the direction of remembering that they were just playing a character in the human game, so they can move on. Sounds like something I'd like to smoke, Nikki said. When she realized G-Sam and I were both looking at her inquisitively, she blushed. I mean, who couldn't use a little help with self-love and forgiveness now and then? G-Sam nodded. Yeah, we all are our own worst critic more often than not. Not me, I said, because it's true. I love me so much, I'm a little dangerous. Don't worry, you'll all get there too. I winked in Nikki's direction. Well, if Franny's busy for now, G-Sam started as she pushed up the long sleeves she was wearing, I think I'd very much like to go have a chat with Belle Gunnis. Excuse me, ladies. And G-Sam made her way to a couch near a window, where a rather stout, hard-faced woman sat hugging an oversized stuffed pig that looked like a circus prize. Who's Belle Gunnis? Nikki asked, inching a bit closer to me in noticeable discomfort with present company. Haha, research for another time, Nikki babe, I replied. What say we go crochet a bit with Dahmer and get his side of the story, eh? Nikki's eyes got wide, but nonetheless, she followed me to the table full of fluffy yarn and former serial killers. Hey there, healing friends, I spouted happily as I sat down. How goes the recovery? Dahmer, my dude. You know, Earth has a popular TV series about you now. Haven't seen it myself, but I hear good things. I picked up a crochet hook and started sifting through and squeezing the various yarn options available to select a good one. Dahmer appeared taken aback by my gregarious intrusion and glanced anxiously around the table at his cohorts as if for support. Nikki sensed the awkward air of the situation and, in true new kid fashion, piped up to try to ease the tension. I've seen some of the series, she said cautiously. She trailed off while searching for what she must have thought would be comforting words. It's very well produced, she finally landed on. I wouldn't have imagined my incarnation as Jeffrey Dahmer would become a source of entertainment, Dahmer replied in a dejected and bemused sort of way. Humans, eh? I said as I lobbed a sparkly ball of yarn at Nikki. We do have a strange tendency to make merriment out of being disgusted and appalled, don't we? Odd behavior, but there it is. I slouched back comfortably in my chair and started up crocheting an amorphous circle. So, are any of us recalling past lives and incarnations yet? Or have we not gotten that far in the process? I asked of the group at the table. It is quite interesting to find out the things that souls remember about their other incarnations once they're on the other side of the veil, so to say. Turns out, Dahmer and Richard Chase, in another human life, were both nuns together at the same convent. They had both taken to becoming vegan, and together had used their mutual passion for gardening to help them convert most of their rural village to veganism. Happy circumstance for the local goats, I should think. Across from Chase and Dahmer sat Carl Panzram and Joseph Mengele. Panzram had recently begun to recall a prior incarnation where he had been a boy king of some kind. He didn't have details yet on the era of his reign, or even the geographical region of Earth that was his domain, but he did distinctly recall a childhood in which he was lavishly rich and well tended to. Mengele wasn't quite so far along in his own healing process, but he and Panzram both had a sneaking suspicion that they knew each other in a former life, much like Chase and Dahmer. Albert Fish was also at the table, crocheting very intricate 3D flowers and placing them into a vase to create a rather impressive floral arrangement of yarny blooms. Albert had not yet progressed to recalling his own past lives, but he was quite determined to return to Earth once he was healed. He said his new ambition, this time, would be to become a writer and illustrator of children's books. The minutes do fly when you're chatting up some formerly murderous men of Earth. By the time I had completed a neat little doily fit for a grandma's coffee table, Nikki looked to be about ready to vomit. Villain rehab patient socialization certainly isn't for everyone. Myself, of course, I was feeling a bit peckish and reckoned a snack was in order. Hey, I elbowed Nikki and tossed the doily and crochet hook onto the table. Why don't we round up G-Sam and find the kitchens around here? No sooner had I stood up to scan the premises for G-Sam than the resounding boom of a moderate explosion rocked the facility. A profuse amount of pink and purple smoke billowed out of some double doors to the northeast of where I stood. A few people came coughing and spluttering out of said doors. Some patients here and there had become vividly distraught and were immediately tended to by little blue, wide-eyed beings that materialized out of nowhere. Is this some kind of invasion? Nikki had scurried out of her seat and come up close behind me, her eyes darting around at all the tiny blue folks mingling with the residents. Kellenurians, G-Sam coughed, rejoining Nikki and I. Ah, I nodded. Kind helpers of yours. You can call them in like a flash then, huh? I admit, even for the experiences I've had with instant psychic communication across light years, from the explosion to the appearance of little blue dudes was impressively slick. Well, actually, G-Sam coughed again, smacking her hand at her throat as if to help clear the airways. Obviously, she must have been present for whatever mishap emitted the colorful smoke, and among those who had fled through the double doors. In a marvelously intuitive manner, one of the small blue beings shimmered into existence next to G-Sam and handed her a glass of water. She accepted it with a grateful staccato nod, drank, and went on. I called them 15 minutes ago or so and asked them to be on standby, she explained. How did you know there was going to be an explosion? Nikki asked incredulously. Can you see the future? Just then, I spotted Franny Lynn, dancing her way dazedly through the double doors alongside an upright alligator-looking chap in a white lab coat. Franny was wearing a telltale placid smile that, to those of us who know her best, gave the game away, you might say. I laughed and turned in Nikki's direction. No psychic powers needed to see trouble coming whenever Franny Lynn gets within a mile of any sort of psychedelic lab experiment. I looked at G-Sam. Found her tinkering with Malachai and that good old G-Sam Girl Scout preparedness sense kicked into gear, I presume. G-Sam finished a second glass of water, brought to her by another blue Kellenurian, and giggled to herself. Franny does have a knack for putting a bit of cleanup business my way. Franny Lynn strolled up to our little gathering and took a deep, contented breath. She sighed in a perfectly pleased sort of way. You don't get the full effects when smoke is all... She waved her hands in the air in droopy spirals. Dissipated like this. But all in all, the recipe, I think, will do quite nicely for relaxation purposes. You know, once Malachai gets to the laboratory, tidied up a bit. Oh, and hello, and thank you to you, sir. Franny smiled and directed her gratitude to one of the blue Kellenurians who had appeared and offered her a glass of water. Franny downed the glass in one long gulp and swayed a bit when she came up for air. Two more diminutive blue people materialized on either side of her to keep her steady, upon which she used a free hand to pat one of them on the shoulder and leaned down to give the Kellenurian a friendly half-hug. "Nice guys, these ones you brought, G-Sam," Franny espoused blissfully. "I like 'em. Say, Frankie, who's your friend here?" Franny blearily indicated in Nikki's direction, but before Nikki could make an introduction, Franny waved a careless hand and blurted, "Never mind. A friend of Frankie's is a friend of mine. Now, who wants to go visit Treb at that lovely Venetia cafe for a little snack?" Franny raised her hand up high, as if to vote yes, and G-Sam snickered and raised her hand in agreement. "Don't have to ask me twice," I replied, always ready for a tasty bite. "Back to Venus then, new kid," I said to Nikki as I summoned up a portal for our interdimensional travel quartet. "I'm sure Treb will be thrilled to see you again." Franny Lynn and G-Sam stepped through the bright white-green portal light ahead of us. "Yes!" Nikki bleated in imitation of our reptilian friend Treb. I think I should be quite happy to see him again, too. Hello again, friends. Thank you for listening in. I do hope you've sufficiently had your mind expanded. If not, you can hit up my YouTube channel, link in the description, to get a bit more of Franny Lynn. She has a very interesting take on the story of Easter. If you'd like to support more adventures with Abernathy, do join my Patreon, patreon.com/AbernathyFranklin. And don't forget to stop over to WaresbyFranki.com for some fun merch. Any support you can offer is greatly appreciated and really does mean the world to me. Subscribe and leave a review wherever you happen to be finding this podcast, and share with your friends if you're in a generous mood. Until next time, much love to you, my earthbound and cosmic friends. Wherever you are out there, I hope you're doing well.